Welcome to another episode of Everyday Amazing. Of course, I am your very handsome host, Sky Alton. And tonight I have someone who you all should know about because she is someone who is making a big impact in social wellness. She's actually a social wellness leader. But you know what? I'm not going to talk about her. I'm going to actually let her tell you about herself. Let's take a look.
My name is Marianna Souza. For over 20 years, my mission as a social wellness leader has touched the hearts and minds of people worldwide. My commitment to community advocacy, healing, and transformation provides real-life impact for those ready to navigate personal and professional development. As an educator, I create experiences for exploration and awareness. As a facilitator, I usher in opportunities for collective work and responsibility.
All right. Without further ado, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Miss Marianna.
Everyday Amazing with Sky Alton.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Marianna. I'm so excited to have you.
This is my first late night show.
Really?
Yes,
Well,
we are the first.
You picked the best one.
Let's go.
So first off, thank you for coming on the show and giving me some of your time.
Absolutely.
So I just kind of want to jump into it. You are a social wellness leader.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about how you got into that.
You know, I had to pick a title that was big enough for all the things I do, because I do a lot of things, right? But basically what I do is I work in the home, school, neighborhood, and workplace, teaching folks how to lead their lives when it comes to their mental health, their emotional hygiene, and their overall social wellness. So how that may show up is one-on-one coaching when I'm working with individuals. That might look like doing training with educators and administrators, or one of the most popular things in terms of what's kind of blowing up out there is the work that I do with students, namely high school and college students. And so, you know, the last couple of years, mental health is now something that people are finally realizing, you know, we have fitness coaches, right? We have, all financial coaches, but we also need to have social wellness coaches, mental health coaches, and what I call emotional hygiene, because sometimes our emotions get a little funky and we got to purge those things.
I like that because as soon as you said that, I thought about emotional well-being and wellness, and it just made me think why aren't we talking more about that? That is actually like a thing. I just want to say, just hearing you describe all the things that you do, it just makes me think about how some of the stereotypes we have, so especially as a guy, as a man, about growing up, sometimes we're taught not to show emotion. And I feel like what we're starting to see now is that some of the effects of that teaching, right? And so now we're starting to kind of embrace hey, it's okay to share your feelings. It's okay to say that you're not okay as a male.
Right.
Do you know?
Absolutely. Especially, you know, we've said that for men, but a lot of women, especially when they go into professional environments, they try to embody a lot of qualities that men have, which teach them to mask their feelings, to have this assertive approach to their business and how they go about conducting themselves in professional environments. And then that trickles down to our children. So our children are all watching the way we conduct ourselves, and even the two-faced nature, right? Where, you know, we're one way in one environment and another way. And so, you know, to add to your point, it's not only about showing feelings, but my job when I'm facilitating one-on-one or group experiences is teaching people to go beyond that and process their feelings. Because showing your feelings, you can act a fool out here.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You can act a fool out here. You be in the hooski locked up, right? And not like I always say, not everybody has bail money for you. So the work that I do is allowing people social wellness interactions, live cultivation experiences, where we go through those scenarios, where we do deep assessments of what's going on with us mentally, emotionally, because a lot of the time, like I say, your friends, your family, your boo thing, your kids, they'll tell you about yourself. But by the time they tell you about themselves, they don't have the patience the way I'm going to. So the idea is not to wait until we're at our wits' end. The idea is not to wait until we're burnt out and we're falling apart. And for the most part, people are having nervous breakdowns and finding themselves in institutions. None of us are above that. None of us are above life experiences that can spin us upside down, inside out, and have maybe our childhood trauma spill over into some of the real world day-to-day traumas that we're having. So my job is to go again into the homes, schools, neighborhood, and workplace to teach us, yes, to show our feelings, but to number two, express them, process them, and then have the proper adjustments necessary so that we can stay healthy and strong with our minds.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really do. Now, tell me about like, how did you get into that? Like, what happened in your life to make you?
I lost my mind a few times. Have you ever lost your mind before?
You know.
Let's get it out. Let's have a little refresh session. Have you ever felt mentally as if you were weak or weary, or if it's not you and you don't want to put your business out there, have you ever seen loved ones go through it?
I'll speak to it. When I was in college, I was working 2 jobs, also trying to put myself, taking classes full time.
Come on.
And, anytime I failed a class, it would hit me heavily. And the reason why is because one, I was paying for it. So that's the financials,
Yes.
right? 2, it made me think, dang, this is going to push my graduation date back, right? And then the negative thoughts kind of hit you as like, well, you have friends that are coming up with you, they're going to graduate before you do. You start to feel like, dang, what's wrong with me? Like, how come I didn't pass that class? You automatically start to compare yourself to them. You guys are 2 different people, have 2 different situations, but you can't help but be like, man, I'm not going to graduate with with my friends, And so and for me, how I would process it, I honestly would allow myself to feel all those negative emotions for maybe an hour or 2, right? I would just embrace it. I would have a conversation with myself like, yeah, it sucks, and yeah, you messed up, whatever. You should have tried harder. And I try not to say try harder, try things differently. Maybe had I adjusted a little bit better, maybe things would have went differently. But then after that hour or 2, I would tell myself, it's just time to get back to work. You've already processed that, because if you give up, you're just going to say, I wish I would have did this, right? So instead of giving up, you've already embraced what happened. We've acknowledged it.
Right.
Now, how do we move forward?
Right. And that's, so to answer your question, how did I get into this? I realized I need more how-tos from my life. Because even in that, look, we're going to do a little refresh session, y'all, right? Even in that 2-3 minute testimony that you gave me, I heard anxiety. I heard imposter syndrome. I heard feelings of inadequacy, right? And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you ain't ready to tell the world just yet, right? When I was in that position in life, right? Whether that was personal relationships within my family, with loved ones, whether that was me trying to figure out what my purpose was and, kind of grappling with how am I going to develop my career, all of the pressures, and then just life, the crazy things that are going on around us in the world and the environments we're in. Even if we are high functioning individuals like you appear to be, very ambitious, from what you say, hey, I processed it, I took 2 or 3 hours and I moved forward. That doesn't mean you got the resolve that you needed. It means that you may have pushed through, and then who knows how that can morph and start to turn into other things and seep into other areas in your life, right? So the idea is not to just push through as the only means, but to have processes to do it. So to answer your question, my journey started as a performing artist. So storytelling, MC, poet, actress, all of these things in the oratorical skill sets and that nature of being an artist, right? Activism and leadership, a lot of community involvement, a lot of high level engagement with community members. And so as a person, I was kind of looking around and I was like, wow, we're all geniuses in our arts, in our crafts, and our activisms, but behind the scene, folks are falling apart. They're pushing through, but they're falling apart. And it's showing up in addiction or substance abuse. It's showing up in unhealthy choices with relationships or how we're, harboring these feelings behind the scenes. So I noticed that this performative nature of success was this outward projection. But then when I got to know, myself and some of the homies and some of the community members, I was like, that ain't how you really act behind the scenes.
Right.
And so when I started seeing it happening with me, I was like, I got to do something about it. And that's what I mean. I started breaking down. And I noticed that I was becoming this two-faced person where I could hit the stage and I could be of service to community and it was all good. But behind the scenes, I was feeling loneliness. I was feeling some of those same feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, all of these things that had me comparing myself where I should be in life. And the reality is that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And whereas I was supposed to be led me into a journey, right, of deep self-assessment, of really, really looking at different practices. I went to different therapists, but the ones that I found, they just wasn't hitting right. And so I realized I still needed to go through a self-healing journey. And that self-healing journey led me to writing a workbook. Everything that I did and put in the workbook are activities that I did with myself, that I engaged with different elders, with different guides in the community to help me go through a full process to acknowledge, hey, some of this stuff is about childhood and family stuff. Compartmentalize that, look at the cause, the effect. Okay, some of this stuff is contemporary. It's about what's going on in my immediate life. Sometimes it blends and you have to be able to separate them. So these charts, these graphs, these processes, these writing prompts, and then sometime going into nature, going for a walk, disappearing for 5-6 hours, going on a workout journey, healthy eating, healthy body, all of these things culminated into a journey that I called owning my shit. And shit, the acronym for shit, S-H-I-T, is some healing in there, because we all have some healing in there. And that pretty much combined with my storytelling and performance art, with my, activism and leadership, I pulled all that together, got certifications in mental health and family community engagement, trauma healing, and all of that came together to lead me to becoming a social wellness leader, a social wellness practitioner. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was so much in that. What kept going through my head is like, oh, she was on her Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah, I was eating, I was praying, I was loving, I was meditating, I was doing everything I possibly could. And I think everyone's journey, self-healing journey is different, and it's lifelong. I think sometimes people are looking for this epitome moment. It was like, I'm healed. And it's like, your mama could, be in a fire. There could be a trauma. Anything could happen. We're constantly going through an evolution of growth, of experiences, of, feeling broken or feeling challenged and having to overcome it. So I'm never really looking for this ultimate healed point, but I am looking to constantly evolve in my growth so that when new challenges come, I have the tools that I need in my tool belt to strive through and not push through and suppress things, but to actually overcome and learn whatever lessons I need to learn from that experience.
That really makes me think of something that someone once told me about, tomorrow's a new day, and, you, like, the person you are today may not be the person you are tomorrow, right? But then also within that, someone always said you're still responsible for that person you were yesterday, right? And so when you were talking just now, you were talking about how, just because you push through that, you don't know how some of these traumas may manifest themselves. That really resonated, because I definitely feel like that's something that a lot of people can relate to, is that, they may have a family tragedy or, someone pass, and it may take years. They may think that, like they're fine, or they're soon to be fine. And then one day they may be pouring some coffee, and it can be just something as small as they spill a little bit of coffee on their shirt, and it just triggers them. All that, trauma just kind of comes back. And so I really think like what you're doing and how you're telling people, it's not, the goal isn't to be ultimately on this, I'm healed and I'm fine and I don't have any more trauma, but just to know like how to handle it and how to recognize it.
Absolutely.
I really think that's a very important.
Well, thank you. I truly love what I do. And although I refer to it as my career and my profession, I think ultimately it's my calling. And that calling can shapeshift, right? That call can happen different days, different periods of my life, but it's ultimately always led me to being of service to people going through the mental, the emotional, the social processing necessary to be fulfilled. Because let's face it, there's a lot of people that push through, they get that education, they get that accolade or whatever degree or whatever job, right? They have all the things that outwardly look like it. But there's a lot of people who are successful outwardly or make great money and are miserable as a result. And there's a lot of people that leave this planet never feeling a sense of fulfillment because they never had the opportunity to have learning and cultivation experiences to really process how that trauma or how that experience affected me and how it might be showing up, because a lot of those successful people have shitty attitudes, right?
Yeah.
I hope I can cuss on this show.
Yeah.
It's cussing with a purpose, y'all. It's cussing with a purpose, right? It's expressive vulgarity, but think about it. How many people, get to that epitome of outward success, but the way they treat people is horrible. The way they treat themselves and their outlook and disposition on themselves outside of what they're projecting might be miserable. And so, it is really, I say this oftentimes, it is my soul's goal to help you feel refreshed. And that doesn't mean I'm doing all the work. It's not a codependent coaching, teaching, servitude relationship here. My job is to give you the tools and you apply them. If you don't, I sleep just fine at night if you don't, right? I had to learn through that in my beginning years of service because, I'd want, success or that person to overcome so much. I take it personal if they maybe backslid or didn't apply some of those practices or tools. So now I understand that I'm there to be of service with healthy boundaries, and what people do with that after that. If they take it and soar, that's wonderful. If they don't, that ain't none of my business. Yeah.
I like that. And there's something you said in there that I really want to touch on. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Here we go. Yeah.
Everyday amazing with Sky Alton.
Where is my vape pen?
One of those days, a pile of dishes and a pile of work emails, all due in 5 minutes.
One of those days, I need my gummies.
Kids stomping around upstairs, and there are 2 more chasing the dog in the living room. What is that boy doing to the cat? Take the edge off. Call or log on to thegreengiantdelivery.com when life's just a little too much.
Take a break. It's time for a moment of you.
It's time for a moment of you. Get all your cannabis products delivered fast and discreetly with thegreengiantdelivery.com. With the Green Giant Delivery, you don't have to do it all. Just take a little break. And remember, you've got this.
Everyday amazing with Sky Alton.
Welcome back to the show. I am still here with Miss Marianna. And before we went to break, we were talking about, we unpacked a lot, but there was something that really stood out to me that I really want to touch more on. You talked about how when you're of service, how you have healthy boundaries and you don't let people's, let's say like emotions or their journey affect your outlook on life and your personal journey. So tell me a little bit more about how you do that, because that's the first thing I thought. Like you have this energy, right? And it's great. It makes me wanna. It makes me feel better, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm pretty sure when you work with certain people, they might be in a different place in their life, and their energy is not where yours is at. And how do you keep your same outlook on life and not let that just change you?
Yeah. So I had to learn to temper a healthy balance between being a nurturer, right, and a coach, right? So the nurturer has the capacity to be that empath. And that, that was a very big trending idea. I'm an empath, everybody, I feel people's emotions, right? But everything with healthy limitations, right? Because you can just be this big open heart chakra all the time, taking in all the woes of the world. And then you're wondering why you decrepit, falling apart, because you're taking in all that energy and being so compassionate, right? So I am an empath in the sense that when I'm coaching, when I'm facilitating, we get that good emotional decompression that's necessary. But also I'm a coach, and I make it very clear that any progress that you want to make is 100% based off of your effort. And you're not going to dump truck on me. And I used to do that before, right? Before, when I was beginning in this, I had my coaching practice for about 7 years, right? And so in the very beginning, I'd get those headaches. I'd, worry about my clients after the session had been far gone. I'd be thinking about them 2-3 weeks later. Are they okay?
Right.
And that's not my job. As a coach, my job is to be direct, to be firm, to make it clear what my part is and what your part is. Just like if you run in track, or I don't know if you're an athlete, if most athletes know there's a certain amount that you're responsible for. And if you don't show up, if you're not willing with an open mind to learn, to receive the techniques and the strategies and some of those basic fundamentals, if you're resistant to that, that's on you if you don't get your breakthrough. And, you know, if you're getting your feelings and you're getting sensitive, I'm not going to take it personal, because when a person is open and ready, and if it's a fit, right? There's coaches and practitioners all over the world. I'm not the only one. My style is not the only one that I recommend. It is about finding that fit. But for me, I do temper that healthy balance of being a nurturer, which allows people to bring and decompress those emotions, but also a coach, which means, and this is what people love about my style, is I'm an accountability coach, right? And it doesn't mean I'm disrespectful or dogmatic, or there's no weird stuff going on where I'm trying to break you down. This is not the military.
Yeah,
Very good. This is not the military. No, not by, you know, I want you to come back if necessary. But I also tell people I'm not a lifelong coach either. Right? I've had people that have been with me for a couple of years. I've had people that have come with me and had one good 2-3 hour breakthrough experience, and that's what they needed to get them through that threshold onto their journey. So I'm not here forever. I don't want to develop a codependent relationship.
Right.
I want to be what people need to get them on the next step of their journey, and they have to be 1,000,000% accountable for that, because I'm doing my own journey.
Yeah,
I
right.
can't carry a bag of ladies. Where Erica at? Let's do a remix, Erica, right? I can't do that. I have to manage my own life. And I tell people all the time that I'm teaching social wellness, but I'm still having the human experience. I still am accountable for my own purging and cleansing, my own self-care work, my own accountability work. So I refuse to sacrifice myself and fall apart because I don't know how to maintain those healthy boundaries. Yeah.
Something that, okay, so my next question, and it's a good one, I think. How do you handle like skepticism with new clients, or just like overall, you know, negative, well, I guess it just will be skepticism. Like when you first meet people, like how do you go into it and overcome that?
I make it very clear that you sought me out. Number one, hey,
a good one.
we don't have to do this. This is not a college course that you got to push through. You know, I want people's comfort level and willingness to be there. So I make it very clear that you are not indebted to me. You are not beholden to me. Once you have this first experience, if it's not a fit, which is very rare, but you know, if my style or my approach is not for you, that's okay. I'm not going to feel bad about it, and neither should you, but it is your duty to continue to find whatever resources and what may be out there to help you on it. And that would be the same with the therapist, right?
Yeah.
If someone were to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, there's millions of them out there. They all have different styles and approaches. If you go to one, right, and it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean, oh, I just give up on getting my mental health care. You continue. Look, you do it with a boo thing, right? If people have 50 million relationships and it don't work out, and they'll try again.
Yeah.
Same thing with your psychologist, with your psychiatrist, or a person like me, a coach or a mental health practitioner. I let people know, if you come with a level of resistance that makes it stressful for me to be in a position to guide you, I'll let you know. And once we come after that first session, I will absolutely weigh in on that. And I'll ask you, you know, I'm sensing a little resistance. What is that about?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time that disarms people. Because for the most part, people have had to be resistant to push through and survive.
Right.
So they're accustomed to that outlook and disposition. They're thinking everybody's coming to battle. And I let them know, just because I'm challenging you doesn't mean I'm here to battle you. Doesn't mean I'm here to belittle you. I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend in this process. I'm your compassionate witness. And if you're willing to take some of the tools that I have for you, you can apply them yourself. And if it's not a fit, that's okay too.
First of all, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
And I think we need more people to do that. Even like friends and family members to do that. I think we have too many like yes people. Yeah. You know, and that's just not helpful.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have, I had a conversation recently with a friend of mine, and we were talking about why a lot of celebrities and athletes end up crashing out.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say, I was like, you know what? It's because they don't have anyone to tell them no.
Yeah.
You know, everyone around them is like an employee of theirs, right?
I'm not a yes girl.
Yeah, you know, and so when everyone's eating off of you, the people are afraid to tell them like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea because they're afraid they're like, oh, they might get fired.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that's very, detrimental to people's psyche and also their career.
Right.
And so you're not actually doing anyone any favors
Right.
by doing that.
Absolutely. And some folks are just greedy. Let's just call it what it is. Some folks just want the money. I have worked with several clients. I work from people from 7 years old to 70 years old. And grown adults tell me I've been to 5 million therapists and I've gotten more impact in my work with you. And I do believe that I have amazing friends and colleagues who are psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, but this is a money-making business. And we have to be clear that if you're going and having coaching with someone and you're not seeing any progress, or they're just kind of willy-nilly about it, okay, great to hear from you, and they're collecting the check from either you or your institution that pays for you, your insurance, that would be a time to really look at taking a chart on what kind of progress have I made.
Right.
If after 3 to 4 months, I'm not getting actual tools, I mean, a decompression is great, but the idea is to find somebody that's actually going to give you the tools that you need to overcome, not just staying in a codependent situation where you keep coming back. And, there's enough of us losing our minds in the world. We don't have to be greedy.
To do that, yeah.
And so I would, strongly advise people to make sure that they're doing assessments at least quarterly with whatever style or type of practitioner that you're working with. Make sure that they're not just assessing you, but you're also assessing them.
That's amazing advice. Amazing advice.
Yeah.
Now I do want to get to your book and do a quick,
Look, and this copy's for you.
Okay. All right.
Look, everybody, this is proof. Everybody out there, this is proof that you got a copy. So if your emotional hygiene gets a little funky, that means you're not doing your work, okay?
So tell me, quickly, we got about 3 minutes left in the show. Own your shit.
Yeah,
So
say it with a little confidence. You see how you try to say it like real quick? What's it called?
Own your shit.
Yes, there you go.
go.
That's where the beginning starts. You have to admit that it's there. And again, we're not just cussing for the sake of, being rude or, disrespectful. If I would have named the workbook Own Your Trauma, they'd have walked right past it, right? Because when a trending word happens, it gets beat up and nobody pays attention. Sure. But the concept behind the book is broken up into 3 parts. And the book is in under 50 pages. So a lot of the time, people start little projects and they assume that it's going to be super overwhelming. There's charts, there's graphs, there's prompts. It's not just your regular journal where, you go to the dollar store and you buy your journal, you light your candle, and then you're just staring there blinking at the page. No. There's charts, there's graphs, there's activities for you to look at the cause, the effect, and then by the time you get to the end of the workbook, you are making a commitment to yourself on what other modalities you need to seek on to continue your healing journey, to continue your mental health and emotional hygiene journey, and position yourself for success. So that's what the workbook is all about. So I'm going to check in with you. Do I get to come back, y'all? Do I get to come back next quarter? I'm going to see if you did it.
We'll definitely have you come back. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Very good.
And before I let you go, there's something that I want to play with you. We do this game from time to time where we have you pull a card.
Okay.
And I don't control the questions, but we're going to have you pull a card, and whatever question you get.
It's like bingo for questions.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I think, it's going to be a good one with you because I know no matter what question you get, it's going to be good.
Okay. Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no, we ain't going to sing that song. You need where the theme song music at? Cue it in. Okay, look, I don't have my glasses on. Let's say, what was the last fight that you had with a friend? Oh, this is good. Oh, okay. Let's see, fight. Now, are we talking physical fight? Because that would be high school.
No, it could be whatever your definition of a fight is.
I would say the last time I had a fight with a friend, it was over boundaries.
Okay.
Lack of boundaries. And I would say the falling out was, I can own my shit and say I cared more than my friend did about a certain issue. And how I felt we needed to go about resolving it and how they felt they needed to go about resolving it was 2 different ways. And I had to be mature enough that even though, my little righteous self, right, I wanted to do the healthy path, I had to allow my friend to resolve their issue the way they chose to, and also to be mature enough to say we can still be friends, even if we have to go a different path on how we resolve things.
Right.
So it was me, in my heart and my mind, meaning well and feeling like I was doing well, but it was creating resistance, and I had to get that tough lesson to say, you know what, allow this person to resolve it without your help, so that they can learn their own lesson, and you can still love them even though you don't agree. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
like
Did
that.
I do good,
I
y'all?
like that. I like that. Before we let you go, we want to let the people out there know where they can find you, all your
Yeah.
socials and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my website is missmarianna.today. I always say not .org, not .net, not .com. It's me 365 days of the year. So missmarianna.today. There you can go and book your one-on-one refresh session. That's what my coaching sessions are called. There, if you're an organization, a school, institution, you can also go book your workbook, your workshops, or your facilitations, your keynotes. And then also social media, you can find me on all my handles is Miss Marianna 365.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming
Thank
on
you
the
for
show.
having me.
And I want to thank everyone out there for watching. Until next time, can't wait to see you.